What's up, guys? Xfuture here, and I'm still away, so I still have the terrible mic quality. I apologize for that, but this is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and for some reason never got around to it. But it's just a race recap slash discussion where I just talk about real life F1. I just love talking about real life F1, so I thought, why not record it and share it with you guys, because you guys seem to be interested. So, the Singapore Grand Prix just finished an hour and a half ago. Sebastian Vettel won the race from Daniel Ricciardo and Kimi Raikkonen, with the highest Mercedes in fourth, with Lewis Hamilton retiring with throttle issues, or throttle pedal issues. For some reason, apparently he was not getting full power, so he cracked the shits and retired from the race. So Nico Rosberg was fourth, I think I just said that. Then you got Bottas and Kvyat, then Perez, and then you got the two Toro Rossos, Verstappen, then Sainz, and then Nasser. They were your point scorers. Now, outside the points, you had Ericsson, Maldonado, then Grosjean, and Grosjean actually retired with one lap to go, I believe, for unknown reasons. Well, I haven't heard, but I believe when you retire from the race, it gives you the right to change engine parts or gearboxes, so they were already out of the points, so they retired to give them that option. And then it was Alexander Rossi winning the Manor Battle. Very, very interesting. I haven't heard much about it. People don't seem to have noticed it, but I have been watching German coverage, so I don't exactly understand what they're saying. I was just watching the race with no commentary, and all my streams I found kept crashing or ultra laggy, and I couldn't make any sense of it because the internet sucks here at my hotel. But Rossi beat Stevens, and his fastest lap was half a second faster than Stevens. He's really done. That's pretty damn good for a debut against someone that's been running all season long. And Rossi, he's here to stay, and I don't know, if he keeps putting strong results in like that and defeating his teammate like that, he could put his name back in contention for the Haas drive, but I'm not sure about that, as Haas have said they want no rookies, and only 5 races under your belt is still pretty much a rookie. So that does have implications on the championship if this page will load. So Lewis Hamilton is out front with 252 points, still 41 ahead of Rosberg, who's on 211. Then you've got Sebastian Vettel back 8 points behind Rosberg, so that gap has really closed. Vettel's only on 203 now. Only 8 points between the two there. So, off the start of the race, my brain, why does my brain do this? So, right at the start, very sort of normal start, other than Verstappen actually stalled on the grid, and he couldn't get his car going again, from what I believe. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but I think it went into anti-stall, and he was wheeled off the grid into the pit lane, and then he got going again. It was actually a lap down, so he was really in the shits then, but as I said, he drove back to 8th place. Absolutely ridiculous drive. He was absolutely brilliant. He's really putting his mark. He's really making a statement and proving the haters wrong, that he's not too young for Formula One. He's ready for the big time. And he's really, he's just brilliant. He's really becoming one of my favorite drivers right now. Just so entertaining to watch as a driver. Now, I think it was about the first pit stops, Massa and Hulkenberg actually crashed together at the pit exit. That's why Hulkenberg has not finished the race. But I believe that's not actually related to Massa's issue, as Massa had some engine or gearbox issues later in the race. But what happened there was Massa was coming out of the pits, and Hulkenberg was coming around for second corner, and they just came into the one spot, broke Hulkenberg's suspension, and sent him into the wall. And from what I have heard, the FIA have given Hulkenberg a 3-place grid penalty for the next race in Japan. But I see it as a racing incident because both drivers could have avoided the crash and no one is directly at fault, in my opinion. Massa was really pushing it and pushed himself into that gap and didn't have to do that. He could have backed out of that knowing Hulkenberg was going to come across him. On the flip side, Hulkenberg could have not turned in so hard, but he couldn't. I don't think he actually knew Massa was there, because the way the mirrors are in a Formula 1 car, I don't think he would have seen Massa there until they made contact. I think he was just absolutely clueless. So that's what I think happened there, but that actually triggered the first safety car of the race. I can't remember what lap, so that bunched the field up. But then it got going again. I'm just trying to run off my memory. Nothing that interesting happened from there on out until a man decided he would walk down the track. This guy just jumps out onto the track and just starts casually walking down. That brings out another safety car and instantly makes what was turning into quite a boring race at that stage rather interesting again, bunching the field back up. But that safety car lasted a very long time for pretty much as soon as the safety car was called out, he was off the track again. But I believe there was some issue with the Manners not unlapping themselves. It wasn't just Rossi. I've heard people say, is there going to be consequences for Rossi not unlapping himself and stuff during the safety car? But I was watching, it wasn't just Rossi who didn't unlap himself. Neither did Stevens. Neither Manor seemed to unlap themselves, which was really weird. I don't know what was going on there. But they just resumed the race with a Manor in between Ricciardo and Raikkonen, second and third. Don't know what was going on there, but anyway, that sort of, I don't know, it was weird. But after that, Vettel did his normal bolt back, very 2013-esque. It's like someone's got 2013 Vettel out of the box and dusted him off, and he's back. And it was just a very commanding race from Vettel, especially after that safety car just pulled out a gap and just kept the gap all the way to the end. But what was I going to say? After that, there was a bit of a battle in the midfield with the Lotuses, especially Maldonado, quickly falling back through the field. But there was an incident with him and Jenson Button where they were coming just before the corner where they go under the grandstand. Jenson was trying to get up his inside. Maldonado cut him off, but then Maldonado just coming onto that little straight just didn't even press the throttle. He just sat there, and Jenson actually hit the back of him, and I can't remember what he said on the radio. He's like, "Oh, I should have known he's crazy or something," but Jenson assumed Maldonado was going to actually accelerate onto the straight like a normal racing driver would, but he didn't, and they made contact. Then, at some stage during the race, towards the end of the race, Fernando Alonso retired, and I was getting really frustrated at this point. I'm a big McLaren fan, if you didn't already know, and another McLaren retirement, it's just getting so frustrating. Honda just need to get their shit together. The worst thing was, a bit later on, after Jenson Button's 50-second pit stop, I do not know how you can have a 50-second pit stop. I don't know what the hell happened there. But later on, again, Jenson Button retired. Double McLaren retirement. I am really getting sick of this shit. Honda, get your shit together. This is really starting to get frustrating. It's just so annoying. I'm just really pissed off with that. We were doing really well. We were running in the points from memory. We were in with a shot of doing alright. And then we just go kaput. And we both DNF. Very, very frustrating for McLaren fans this weekend. But what was I going to say? Wait. My brain. So, after that, nothing that much happened. Maldonado fell back through the field. Grosjean fell back through the field, then retired with 1 lap to go. And for the last, 6 laps or something, it was 10 laps. It was Ricciardo gained, then Vettel pulled away. Ricciardo gained, Vettel pulled away. Just exchanging fastest laps all the way at the end. So every time Ricciardo tried to catch Vettel just had something in response, and it was a very, very solid drive from Vettel. Like I've said already, very, very good drive. But for me, driver of the day this weekend, unquestionably Max Verstappen. Brilliant drive. I think I've already said this video, but he just drove so superbly. He was so good. Last back to 20th back to 8th back into the points after being a lap down, and he even beat his teammate. But something interesting happened at the end with about a couple of laps to go. They radioed Verstappen and was like, "Let Carlos pass." He's like, "No! Just do it, Max." I don't know what happened, but Max didn't give up. the players in Raw. I've heard nothing's actually happened, but I haven't heard what on earth that was about. I think it was something to do with Carlos Sainz wanted a shot at Perez with the fresher tyres, but right after the message, it looked like Sainz actually dropped off Verstappen, so I don't know what was happening there. But another thing, I sort of mentioned it a little bit earlier, I think. I'm forgetting what I've already talked about, but Alexander Rossi beat his teammate convincingly. I couldn't actually find out how much he beat him by because it just says on the classification plus 2 laps. It doesn't give you exact time. I wanted to know what was the difference between the two drivers. But Alexander Rossi did beat Stevens very good on debut, especially considering he was going up against someone that's raced about 13 races this season or something. Or however many, 13, that sounds about right. But yeah, it's just a brilliant drive from Rossi. Fastest lap was half a second quicker than Stevens, and he's proving himself and could be back in contention for the Haas seat. I don't know. But that's all I want to talk about from the race. But another thing, Red Bull have said if they don't get a competitive engine next year, they will quit F1. And we already know that they're not going to get Honda engines, obviously. They're probably not, I don't think they're getting Renaults. They're pretty much, I think that deal has been cancelled. The divorce papers have been signed. Mercedes has said, no, you're not having our engines. So that only leaves one more option as Ferrari. But, I don't know, do Ferrari want to supply their rivals? This weekend, Red Bull with a shit engine were able to put it to fight them. And if Red Bull, they were lacking down the straight. If they had the same engine as Ferrari, they would have been quicker. And we all know that. So, do Ferrari really want to help their competition? Like, from a F1 team perspective, it's a stupid idea. But in a way, from a Ferrari as a company perspective, it could be a good idea. As they're building more engines, their name's out there more manufacturing, more engines to be built, like all that sort of stuff. So, I don't know, it depends. I don't know what's going to happen there, but if they don't get Ferrari engines, they're pretty much going to pull out of F1, and that's going to be an absolute disaster for the sport. And I don't know what's going to happen with the teams and all their drivers in their young driver program. It's going to be absolute catastrophe because I really hope Red Bull do get the Ferrari engines. But I was just talking to someone else in the comments on someone else's video. Possibility of Red Bull Audi. So Red Bull getting supplied by Audi engines. Now, it's completely possible, and I could see it happening because customer teams don't win championships. Customer teams do not win championships. Everyone knows that. That's why McLaren made the switch to Honda to become a works team. And I could see Red Bull doing the same away from Renault to someone like Audi. The problem is Audi are going to have to start designing their engines now, but it's still going to be until maybe 2018 until they supply them. So Red Bull are going to have to get a deal locked in with Ferrari until then. So I don't know, but Red Bull are not going to win as a customer. They're going to have to become works. And with who? I don't know. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. A bit of a recap and Formula 1 discussion of the Singapore Grand Prix and other news. Make sure you leave a like rating and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Share my channel around. I am 6 subs off 100. It would be awesome to hit that really soon. But I'll see you all next time.